So these cedar trees have been here. We've dropped them in 21. And I need to do a video on our bigger brush management area. I keep not being able to get to it, but in a nutshell, we dropped a bunch of cedar trees because they just do not offer much habitat value as a monoculture. Because what happens is it just shades everything out. Good example, like down there. That's been burned, but well, actually, in the first video, we were walking those cedar trees at the entrance of this unit. It was really bare, and that's what it was like for like 20, 40 acres of the property. So we cut these, and we had a really great vegetation response. We had a lot of native species come up on this upland here. Now, as you can see, we also have a lot of honeysuckle, which will come back in our backpack sprayer. But that day, that was so pretty good humidity and good wind, so we got now. So you can see this is really burned and open now. This is really good real estate for wildlife. And we're just going to encourage more growth in here. We did smoke a lot of honeysuckles that were grown in here, and we're going to come back and finish them off because there's a few bushes that didn't go, and we really got on top of that. Here's one right here that didn't make it. This guy right here, he's gone. He's done. They might top resprout, but this fire got so hot, I have a feeling that they're done. But let's walk through here. I'm not sure. There might be some native grasses coming up now. It's hard to say, but because there was quite a few. Well, this looks like, either that's goldenrod or a wild sunflower, or I think that's goldenrod, but we'll take it. Let's walk through here. There's about 2 or 3 acres up here that really opened up, and you can walk through this stuff. You might think, oh, it's so open for a while, they're not gonna like that. Well, we want early successional habitat. Now, we may have a big delay because this was a pretty hot fire. I don't know what to expect. We had prairie plants up here last summer with even dropped. So now we're gonna gain more early successional plant communities. We're gonna gain more native browse and bedding down the road, which is pretty open right now. And we have room to drop more cedar trees because these were getting so full I couldn't drop any more. So, but some I might keep because some are actually what they call slickback cedar trees. Those actually have a decent market. Not great, but I might keep them, but we'll have to see. My plan is to keep burning this until we get some more oak regeneration, and we'll take a break and let those oaks catch up. Biggest thing right now is I want to keep burning to encourage those prairie species, encourage those early successional habitat, encourage more oak regeneration. But when we have enough that's like, oh, we should probably take a break so we can let those grow, we'll do that for sure. Now, I want to be brutally honest, okay? So when it comes to fire, especially burning cedar trees like this, okay? Which, by the way, this had a cure for 3 years, okay? You're gonna lose some trees. Now, like this tree here, totally fine. I don't know how it survived. It's not burnt at all, and it looks great. And we show a couple other ones we lost. And you know, that's just, I always say fire is the ultimate judge. It's gonna judge you in your fire brace, and it's gonna judge what's gonna survive. Like here's a little swampy. I don't know about him. He kind of got burned at the bottom. He may not make it, we'll see. And this guy got pretty crispy. That guy got pretty crispy. And I go, oh my God, he lost all those trees. Well, then we have another swamp white oak over here. That's totally fine, you know. And there's another, those more mature trees. They're gonna replace themselves, you know. And it's just, that's part of the business. And also, you know, if we were more active managers years ago, we wouldn't, you know, with the cedar trees specifically, we wouldn't have this problem in the first place. So it's kind of a sacrifice you gotta make to create better habitat. Like this guy here, I don't know, he might have got top killed this year, I don't know, but this is what we're looking for, you know, like those trees that we lost, they will resprout, become a tree again, but they're gonna be, you know, sprouty little stumps, or not stumps, sprouty trees for a while. Now this swampy, I don't know if you can see in the sun, we'll get closer, fairly confident this tree's done. And you might go, what a waste. Why didn't you clear the trees around? And you know, I want you to think about that, okay? Look how black that is. There's really not a lot of stuff around it. That tree had more stuff around it. It's not even black. There might be a little black speck at the bottom, that's about it. So why did one tree with more fuel, because this thing was covered in cedar trees around it, it's not even affected. How come that one didn't get burned and this one did? And you know, that one might die and this one might live. I don't know. We'll check back in a couple months, see what happens. But you might think, what a waste. It's not a waste because that is now gonna be a snag for wildlife. and that's okay. And this tree here is on the cusp becoming a wolf oak for our new savanna, or restoring savanna. So that's just part of the game. Now I do want to share something. So here's your cedar tree here, right? Probably need to drop it and add to the pile of junk to get rid of. So you can see the fire was right here, and there's a little bit of fuel load, but as soon as you get into the cedar branches, fire disappears. The shade from those cedar branches are so intense, it just shuts down fire. Which is really funny because some of your cedar trees go up like Roman candles, and we're burning this. You know, this thing had flames all running. See, we lost a branch right there. Didn't catch on fire at all. I for sure thought all these cedar trees that were standing green will catch on fire. Nope. Nope, they just did not. And you know, depends on what's your growing conditions like, depends on your season, it depends how much moisture you have. A couple of months ago, we were burning really dry and all kinds of stuff was catching on fire. And then we've had some rain, things have had some moisture in them, and now they're fine. So again, we've lost a young swamp white oak, but over here, there's several swamp white oaks that are doing great. Might have to drop that one to encourage more hard mass production for this tree. So that's just the business of doing a fire, you know, and you might think, my trees. You can't get focused on the trees so much because, you know, you have to think fire is a natural part of this environment, of this landscape. It's just been squelched. Smokey the Bear was very successful in his campaign against fire. But we've slowly have learned that, hey, fire is really essential to keep invasives at bay, to encourage a lot of these, what do you call those particular fire tolerant species and fire liking species? Proto? I can't remember the name now. Pyrocetic species, I think they're called, the fire-liking species, fire-dependent species, which are really critical for wildlife. Like these, that's a bunch of sumac up there underneath this swamp white oak. That's all flaming sumac. They're actually I believe they're a pyro-dependent species. So that's all great browse and brooding habitat and everything. And we're losing that structure for wildlife, whether it's for fawning or brooding or nesting or just general deer browse and bedding, whatever have you, to the lack of fire. So we need to encourage fire in the landscape. And the problem is why people get so freaked out, we've allowed so much fuel loads across the country. Now out west is way more intense because it's drier, less humidity, and more fuel loads, and pine needles are extremely flammable. Out here, it's not so much we have a higher fuel load in leaves, it's mostly fallen dead trees. So we have a really big issue of candlesticking logs and whatnot. And now we have these cedar trees, and now we have to drop the cedar trees because there's not a strong market for cedar trees. There's, you know, and here in Iowa, there is no logger going to come in for cedar trees unless they grow like a pine tree, and it's really nice. And even then, you're lucky to get a few bucks for it. So at least up here in Iowa. So, you know, you have this issue of, we have this huge fuel load. There's a lot of trees that are not marketable because they've been allowed to become stagnant. No one's managing their timber. And now this problem of, okay, we're going through to drop trees to allow sunlight in and dropping the trees to adding fuel to the fire, which is okay, but it's going to add a little extra spiciness the first couple of times you burn. And that's just part of the equation. And that's something we can't blame the fire about. The fire is just being a fire. It's us as landowners and land managers and land stewards. Like, we should have been the ball about this a long time ago before we had let this happen in the first place. And it would have been so scary or spicy as intense if we didn't have this fuel in the first place. There's a lot of factors involved here when you go to burn. It's not so much about just lighting the fire. It's all these other factors of like all this right here, you know, could have been avoided 20 years ago. Whoever, well, I guess what my dad, if he knew about fire and he knew the benefits of it, this would have been lit up a long time ago. It would have been like part of the family, just no different than someone burned the road ditch. We're burning our timber, you know. The road ditch is a maintenance, the timber burns a maintenance. Let's take a break here and we'll do a little, what do you want to call it? Contrast here.